Good afternoon, Wildcats fans, and welcome back to another edition of Wildcats Wednesday. I'm Alex Von Coita with you as always, and I'm joined by Wildcats assistant coach once again, Josh Nelson. Coach, how are things looking so far this week?
Very good, very good. We've been getting after it as some people might say. So
Awesome.
it's been good. Good tempo.
Well, that's good to hear, and I'm sure they'll be happy to finally be back within the friendly confines of the KYC. It's been a long couple of weeks on the road, and not to mention four straight defeats. The Cats in the midst of their longest losing streak this season. Is it a breath of fresh air, knowing that minus the top prospects tournament, of course, the team won't be traveling again to an opposing team's barn again for another month?
Yeah, it's definitely kind of a comfort zone. You get into that kind of homestand feel, and you want to play good in front of your fans and family, and just anyone around the community. But yeah, it's definitely a little comfort factor. But at the same time, coming off a little streak here that we wouldn't want to be on. So yeah, we're accepting any and all challenges.
And Coach, hate to take you back to last weekend because I'm sure it's not one you'd like to revisit, but two heartbreaking back-to-back defeats in Odessa against the Jackalopes. The first on Friday night, of course, featured a buzzer beater from the Jacks to tie the game in the last 2.5 seconds, which they'd ultimately go on to win in a shootout. And the second was that third period collapse, four unanswered Odessa goals in 14 minutes. For a 5-4 comeback victory for the Jackalopes. They became the second team this season to sweep the Wildcats. What are some of the things that were taken away from that series?
I think in general we got to take that as a learning experience. Any experience you have in life, I think, can be positive if you kind of reflect and learn from it. So we've had a young team that we've known about all year, and this is just kind of the end of the season here. These are the dog days, mentally, physically. The days get a little bit longer. It's a little tougher to come to the rink, and you lose a little bit of that excitement and motivation, if you will. So I think in general it was just a lot of heart and character check for us. So obviously you don't want to go down that way, but these might be some losses that we look back on and say, this kind of jump started us again for the second half, and
Mm.
hopefully we'll be stronger from it.
And do you see it as a positive thing that this slump is happening here and now, as opposed to maybe 2 months from now? I know it's never a good time to go on a losing streak, but would you say this is an opportune time to go into a slump?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you always want to look at things from a positive standpoint, and you can definitely look at it as a way of as far as peaking.
Mm.
This isn't a time you need to be playing your best hockey, and as a matter of fact, it's kind of a good time to maybe give us that jump start and hopefully give us the opportunity to peak when playoffs come.
And speaking of playoffs, strangely enough, the only time the Wildcats have been swept this season has been in three-game series. The team has just struggled in those long series. Now, fortunately, there won't be another one this season. But is that a cause for concern for the postseason?
Um, I don't think so. No. I think the first one with Lone Star was maybe looking ahead a little bit with some of our players and maybe coaching staff as well, keeping our guys or didn't keep our guys head down and focused. But those were the 3 games leading up to Christmas.
Mm,
As a coach and player, I remember it's tough to keep your head here in
right.
Wichita Falls. Everyone's kind of thinking about going home, family time, get a little time off. And then this last one was just, like we said, hopefully just a wake up call that we needed. I think just a little different circumstances. So the 3 game length, I don't think is an issue. No.
Well, that's good to hear. And Coach, the Topeka Roadrunners are back in town this weekend. They're gearing up for the playoffs as well, having just added a few players. Ex-Minotauro captain Johnny Walker being one of them to their squad, and then some staff changes as well. All three matchups this season between the Wildcats and the Roadrunners have resulted in a series split. What do you think it's going to take to finally get that elusive sweep of Topeka?
It's going to be tough. It's going to be very tough. They've been playing some good hockey. I think since they've made their changes from the personnel side of things, I think they've maybe come out stronger. I think the team's kind of looked at it and said, "Hey, I don't know if it's our fault or not, but I think they've gotten closer and maybe grown from that." So yeah, they're going to be coming in here. They've been playing very well since we were in Topeka. Forget who they played this last weekend, but they swept and look like they're kind of rolling there. So it's going to be tough. Everyone's starting to kind of pick things up for playoffs here, and they might be the best skating team in the South, which is something to say as far as us. Odessa, there's a lot of teams that can skate, so they like to get 4 or 5 people involved in the play. There's always defensemen up, forwards back, you name it. So it's going to be a good test.
There's always lots of bad blood when these two teams get together. Of course, last season the Topeka Roadrunners ended the Wildcats' postseason run in the South Division semifinals. There is that, and as you mentioned, their ability to skate, it's probably unmatched by any other rival team in the South Division for the Wildcats. Very similar style of play, so it's always very exciting to see the Wildcats and the Topeka Roadrunners come together. And, Coach, I want to thank you again very much for taking the time to join us, and hopefully we can get a couple of wins this weekend and bounce back.
Absolutely, anytime. Thank you.
That's Wildcats assistant coach Josh Nelson, and I'm Alex Von Coitel, bringing you this week's edition of Wildcats Wednesday. Finally, the Cats are back in town after being couple of weeks away from the rink on the road. We're officially in the fourth quarter of the season now. 11 of the last 15 games will be played at the KYC. The only other 4 will be in Corpus Christi. This weekend, Friday and Saturday night, tickets to the games are just $5. You can purchase them by calling the KYC box office at 716-5555. Saturday night is National Lemonade Day. All who participate in that will get a free post-game skate with your Wildcats on Saturday night, as well as a free child's ticket with a paying adult. Registration for that will be available outside the KYC doors before Saturday's game. If you can't make it, as always, you can watch us on fasthockey.com or listen to us on YouTube. Till Friday night, so long, folks.